Let's think about why Agile struggles to spread and scale. A big part of the problem is that Agile is not just for IT anymore. That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining. I get to see a lot of transformations and adoptions at ground level. And right off the bat, I see the same issues before we've even begun that can totally undo the initiative. Before we get into it, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we're focused on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. Now remember, if this helps you, tell your friends. You can also join us in the Badass Agile Listener Lounge on Facebook. Links are in the show notes. Not much has really changed in the past 5 to 10 years. Nearly every single Agile initiative that I'm part of begins in the same place, with IT. And because it begins with IT, the rationale and business case is always centered around technical product of some kind. Even in a few rare cases, mind you, I've seen Agile initiatives start because the executive actually believes that we need to get more agile. And the funny thing is, if you ask them why, they're not exactly sure. So this creates an obvious problem. If your reason for doing everything matters more than anything, and then you start your initiatives without a good reason, guess how things are going to turn out. But even when we believe and preach that agility is an organizational imperative and not a technical one, it still seems to be centered around technical solutions rather than driving a strictly business or customer-based outcome. Do you notice that too? And yet, we wonder why we continue to struggle to get executives, partners, and vendors on board, much less the teams on the ground. Too often, we approach agility like it's a skid of unlovable products that we have to move. It's like walking into a family home and trying to sell them a performance gaming computer because we assume that everyone, mom, dad, and junior, is interested in tweaking their Call of Duty performance. It just won't work. The chances are above average that what matters to one person or group is not going to matter to everyone else, especially if the scope of that concern is really narrow. The truth is that Agile benefits the entire organization. It's no longer a technical or IT concern. It never really has been, but I think we've been lazy. I think that because IT inherently gets it, needs it, and wants it, we've been content to build ground support there first, using the very short lens of what matters to us as a technical unit. Now that's the bottom-up approach to spreading Agile. And while it's essential, it's not enough. These days, I'm talking about what's next for Agile. And I think we have to unlearn everything we've learned about agility in order to go there. If you want to evolve and stop doing the same kind of work with the same frustrations and the same result record, we need to evolve and change. It starts with agreeing that agility is now a way of working, not a software delivery technique. Now that means our language has to change. Our focus has to change. Everything has to change. We have to figure out how to use Agile to solve any or all of the business problems. We have to do that while being independent of, not ignorant of, specific solutions, especially technical ones. I'm sorry to say this, but nobody cares about your software. They care about the value it can potentially deliver and the problems it can potentially solve. So this means asking questions to uncover what hurts, what's not working, where are we failing, what do we wish we could do, and what do we wish we could be that's currently elusive? And then we get back to the business of what Agile's really about: finding a way or making a way, and then delivering the goods like a badass. In the future, sprint goals should be less about the software you put in users' hands and more about the value that you put in the organization or the customer's hands. The outcomes that we're now a little bit closer to because we're actively focused on solving a problem and claiming a victory. And until we learn to do this better, we continue to spend all of our time going from this vague need to be agile to a sophomoric, lopsided, awkward effort of explaining why it's valuable, even though it's probably not delivering anything we envisioned it would, or anything that translates to real market value. Now, I use Agile every day in some small or large way to simplify my workload and process so that I can serve more people with better quality and better responsiveness. In every single endeavor, it helps me clear up blockers and sticky problems that would normally keep me from delivering value and putting great services and experiences into the market. It helps me prioritize my day. It helps me right-size my goals. It helps me quickly determine not only what's working and what isn't, but what's valuable and what isn't. Now, I can do this not just because I'm well-versed in Scrum or any other technique, but because I've learned to abstract it, adjust it, and make sure that it fits perfectly for everything that I do. I understand the core principles and how to apply them broadly, precisely because I'm focused on what's meaningful for my business. What this means is, when you start an Agile initiative for an organization, when you're helping them transform, you don't start by figuring out how to organize the enterprise structures and the processes and the roles to facilitate Scrum. That's not the goal. Yes, you should start working with technical teams as soon as possible, because Agile can definitely help facilitate tactical delivery, very fast wins, and exponential results, because that makes a great showcase, an exhibition game that demonstrates results and generates desire in the rest of the organization. Plus, IT probably already gets it, so why not use that to its fullest potential as soon as possible? But the next step has to be to start asking questions at the organizational level about what are the problems most worth solving. How could this help you get the results that matter most to the business? Whether that's wallet share, return on investment, customer retention, margin, number of downloads, you need to focus on those problems and stop thinking about Agile as a facilitator for software solution delivery, or worse, as a means unto itself. What you can't forget is that a good solution can take any form. The right solution is always the one that maximizes the upside while minimizing or deferring the potential downside or waste. Now, when you look at it that way, it's okay to leave some of the less pressing concerns for traditional delivery, waterfall delivery, or whatever's too complex or not worth it to change or change yet. Hey, if it's working, why would you fix it? This approach to agility is about performance tuning the way we react to the problems that get in our way most in business, whether it's massive opportunity or massive pain to your company, or whether it's just something they need to focus on in order to properly sustain and grow. Our job as Agilists is to help them figure that out. Do you know what your most important skill is? It's not your in-depth knowledge of any particular framework. It's your understanding of how to solve business problems. It's an understanding of how your customers work, how they think, how organizations and teams solve problems, how they innovate, the constraints and boundaries under which they work, and how to influence and inspire the changes necessary to evolve. Folks, thank you for listening. You can reach out at badassagile.com or find me on Twitter at badass_agile. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, stay badass.